You are watching One Book, One Review with Wiebke.
I don't remember the last time I finished a book in a day. But yesterday, when my copy of The Ocean of the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman arrived, I was happy that I didn't have to work because I just couldn't put this book down. Just like with all of the other Neil Gaiman books I read, I was just sucked into the story. I was sucked into the writing, and I just wanted to go on reading, wanted to know what happens next. Just as in his other works, he has a larger-than-life aspect to it. It's not just our normal reality, but there is a reality outside of it, or parallel to it, that we just cannot see most of the time. And in this book, there's the main character confronted with this other part of our reality. So what's the book about? The book is narrated by a man, let's say in his late 40s and 50s, and we meet him in the prologue when he's back in his hometown for a funeral, and just to get away from everything, he goes and visits this old house he used to live in, and then the house of an old friend he had, Letty Hamstock, but she's in Australia. And so not there, but her grandmother is there and says like, oh, you can sit at the pond and just wait, I'll bring you a cup of tea. And that's where the story begins, because he goes to the back of the house where this little pond is, and he remembers that Letty used to call it her ocean. And then everything comes back, because when he was 7 years old, he had this huge adventure with Letty Hamstock. There was an incident that awoke some deep evil forces, or just some outer world forces, and he was connected to it, so he had to take care of it. Sort of. I'm being vague as usual because I don't want to give away too much. But Letty Hamstock and the 7-year-old narrator had to fight off this evil power that came into our world. And there was a lot of adventure in there and a lot of great and imaginative ideas. And the ocean at the end of the lane is this little pond. And honestly, this ocean, wow. Looking at the characters, we have the main narrator, who's a really bookish kid without any friends, and he has trouble making friends, he says, till now in his life. But back then he really just got picked upon and nobody really liked him, so he lived in his books, and he got his cues from his books, like how you played and what you did, and that helped him in his adventure. And the Hamstock women, well, they're not from this world, they're from the other side of the ocean, that's what they say, and they're just magical creatures, something. It's not really described what they are, but they have some powers, and I really like that. They were really well done. They were not using any wands and pulling out spells, but they just controlled things, and they had power, and they just knew things, and they were good. They were really good and amazing. Also, the main evil character was very well done. I'm not going to tell you anything about that person, but the description and the powers and the ideas behind the evilness were so interesting, and how to fight the evil was so imaginative. It just glued my eyes to the pages. As you can see, I really loved everything about the book. For me, it's like a typical Neil Gaiman book. It's a little bit in our world, a little bit outside of our world. It's just captivating, and I love that about his books. There was one thing though that I'm not really sure what to make of it. I'm not saying I disliked it, I just don't know what it wanted there. He kept referring to grown-ups as the things and what you do when you're a grown-up, as comparison to the 7-year-old narrator, and these grown-up effects sometimes seem to be like the grown-ups are the evil part, but at others not, and I'm not really sure what he wanted to tell me with that. So if you've read the book, tell me. This turned out to be a little bit too much raving about the book, but I just think if you dive into a book and cannot put it down, it's an amazing read, no matter what. So if you read the book, tell me in comments, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.